Episode 8 of MobLand saw the landscape of the war between the Harrigans and Stevensons change, but a theory about one small moment from the ending of Episode 8 could change the dynamic of the Harrigan crime empire entirely. Episode 8 chronicled the immediate fallout of the murder of Brendan Harrigan and the simultaneous rescue of Serafina Harrigan by the mysterious Cat McAllister. What could have been a devastating blow to both Conrad Harrigan and the Harrigan criminal organization in general was minimized with the preservation of Conrad's business-savvy daughter. Every move and countermove made by Richie, Conrad, or Maeve casts more doubt on the certainty of the Harrigans' future. Conrad looks more and more unstable by the day, and Maeve is actively plotting with Richie, so there is no telling how much longer the Harrigans are even a major player in the London criminal underworld. On top of everything, a comment made by Maeve to her only surviving son could point to a future rift that could ruin the Harrigan family for good. Kevin's other brother sets up a big MobLand twist. Kevin's reaction to the mention of another brother is telling. The cast of MobLand. Maeve mentions to Kevin that either him or his brother are the future of the Harrigans, but Kevin corrects her by noting that Brendan is now dead. She devilishly notes that she means his other brother, which immediately sends Kevin into a rage, prompting him to throw a horrendous curse at his mother. He almost looks like he might hit her before he's interrupted by his son Eddie, who exits his room with a joyful skip in his step after his latest encounter with Gina. The way Kevin reacts, it's clear that he assumes his mother means Brendan, meaning whoever the other brother is not someone that Kevin thinks of often, and certainly not in the context of him being a brother. His complete shock and subsequent rage that she would even bring that person up is telling, as it implies that he either didn't know they existed, or their existence is offensive to him personally. Naturally, the identity of Kevin's other brother immediately becomes one of the series' biggest mysteries moving forward. Theory: Eddie is Conrad's son, not Kevin's. Conrad's history with Bella could be much deeper than we've been told. Paddy Considine as Kevin Harrigan in MobLand. There are plenty of reasons to believe that the other brother that Maeve references is in fact Eddie Harrigan, Kevin's presumed son. The fact that it's Eddie who interrupts Kevin as he begins to blow up at his mother is an almost too obvious visual clue, but it would certainly not be out of the norm for MobLand, which does not typically deal in subtlety. More importantly, however, is the fact that Kevin and his son have done nothing but clash throughout the series. Eddie has nothing but disdain for his father, and Kevin seems to reciprocate it. Eddie's volatile, foolhardy attitude makes him nothing like his more controlled and concerned father, but there is another character whose personality Eddie matches, Conrad. It's already been revealed that before Kevin married her, Bella, who was only 20 years old or so, was one of the young women who Conrad cheated on Maeve with. It seems perfectly plausible that Conrad would have gotten her pregnant, then forced his son to marry Bella to essentially cover up the infidelity, or at least the blatant evidence of it. Maeve clearly knows, but it makes sense that they wouldn't have told Eddie. What Eddie being Conrad's son would mean. It could actually explain Maeve's behavior. Anson Boone as Eddie Harrigan in MobLand. Part of what enraged Kevin about the way that Maeve mentioned his other brother is that it was essentially a threat. What she was implying was that Kevin's position as the heir to the Harrigan throne was not secure, and there was a better option should he falter. If Eddie is in fact Conrad's son and not Kevin's, then Eddie is clearly the choice for both Conrad and Maeve when it comes to who calls the shots when they're gone. On the flip side, Eddie being Conrad's son could explain Maeve's actions so far to a degree not yet seen. Maeve hates Serafina as a walking, talking reminder of Conrad's infidelity, which is the ultimate insult to the extremely proud Maeve Harrigan. Eddie would be the same thing, but to a much greater degree. The insistence on keeping him around would certainly justify Maeve wanting to burn Conrad's empire to the ground. She is fueled not by good business sense, but revenge for Conrad's decades of adulterous insults. So far we've seen Eddie presented as Maeve's clear favorite, but when you really think about it, each piece of evidence of that favoritism doesn't actually help Eddie. Maeve was behind Eddie's murder of Tommy Stevenson, which ultimately did nothing but put him in the crosshairs of Richie Stevenson. In a scene that was played for laughs, she shared cocaine with him, which certainly was not in his best interest as a clearly unstable young man. Maeve using Eddie for her own purposes has really done nothing but put his life at risk, just not directly at her hands. Who else could Kevin's other brother be? It's possible they haven't been introduced yet. It seems unlikely that Maeve is referring to Harry as Kevin's other brother, despite Conrad considering Harry a son, especially after his rescue of Serafina. Maeve doesn't trust or like Harry, and she's already pointed the finger at him as a betrayer once already, likely to throw the scent off herself. On top of that, if Kevin did think that Maeve meant Harry, he wouldn't have reacted with rage, because from everything we've seen, he does consider Harry a brother, and certainly doesn't suspect that he would usurp Kevin's position in the family. There really aren't many options besides Eddie in the cast that we know. It is loosely possible that there is an as-yet unknown Harrigan to be introduced, who will turn out to be Kevin's brother. It seems especially possible knowing Conrad's history with women. Serafina was born out of wedlock and Conrad had side affairs throughout his life. However, introducing another member of the family with so many plots and subplots in the air already seems like a poor choice. The theory that Eddie Harrigan is Kevin's other brother seems like the most obvious choice for a future MobLand twist.